can you give your name, title, and company you work for?
Sure. I'm Carolyn Chandler, and I'm the Director of User Experience at 8-Bit Studios.
Nice. Can you give us like the 2-minute overview of your project, Echodrive?
Sure, yeah. So Echodrive is a new system in transportation logistics, and the idea is to give a tool for drivers, a mobile tool for them to communicate load status, a web portal for their carriers to communicate that to, and for the broker to have it. So it's an integrated system that everybody can contribute to, so you have the most up-to-date load information. And it's meant to replace the paper-based systems that a lot of drivers and their carriers are using now.
What was the most surprising discovery in your research process?
I think it was definitely surprising to see just how paper-based a lot of carriers are, and they're like printing out things for each day and putting it up in folders, changing things, marking with highlighters to communicate status to themselves and keep track of things. So the amount of paper and I think the age of the systems they are using was surprising. Some of the systems are like Windows 3.1, if you remember that. It's a lot of gray, and so I think there's a lot of change coming that is going to be hard for them to adapt to.
Yeah. Implementing a whole new digital system and infrastructure can be difficult sometimes, not only from the kind of technical implementation, but also adoption, user adoption. Can you talk a little bit about any challenges there?
Yeah, I think adoption is a challenge, particularly for drivers that they do have smartphones, but they're not as eager to go to the App Store and download the new app that's going to help them. It's a bit of a barrier there that asking them to use more and more technology is disrupting the way they're working, but there's also a lot of different, as we know, apps trying to solve the same problem. So our goal was to try to be something simple that wouldn't be too disruptive, easy to learn, and not too different from what they might be doing day to day.
Is there anything else that you did that might have helped ease that transition, other than making it just really great UX, simple, easy to use?
You mean just in terms of, I mean, we're doing things like trying to keep in mind that they're going to be onboarded and not necessarily doing that on their own. Like their carriers are going to be initiating them to this, which is good in a way, but it's also a very different way for them to work. So you have the carriers actually in their office looking at the information, and then the drivers are out in the field. And so we wanted to try to make sure the information was really consistent, but really well adapted to very different ways of working.
What kind of feedback have you gotten after it was implemented?
I think that we've gotten really good feedback about the clarity of information, about the way that the status is working. I think we know that we still have work to do on onboarding those drivers. We've right now been using that standard, here's a text link to go install something, and that's been difficult, I think, just the idea of they're looking at a text and then going straight to the App Store. So we're going to be building up more of that communication to make sure that we give carriers the tools they need to onboard their drivers too, and that it's as seamless and friendly as possible.
Cool. Were you able to catch the talk by the gentleman from Design Map? The future of design?
Yes.
Designing designers?
Nathan?
Yes, Nathan.
Yes,
yes.
yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on what he's talking about as far as the future of design or designers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big believer in the fact that designing designers is the future. I teach UX design, and one of the big things that I've noticed is that people are coming to UX design from a lot of different areas, but that idea of how do we solve problems and taking empathy, creativity, and rationality as a way to address that, I think is a really strong skill for anybody to know, but especially for the people who are creating the systems that people are going to have to use in the future and depend on.
Any other thoughts on sort of the next big thing in design or in emerging technology, places that we should be focusing on as designers?
I think that it's been interesting to see virtual reality mentioned so much. I think it's exciting that I think we're now at this turning point where there have been a few different technologies that get introduced that are kind of solutions waiting for a problem. And it's exciting to see that we're at that point where there are clear problems that are starting to be addressed. So I think this is the first conference I've been at where I've seen some VR solutions that I see solving real human problems beyond just wanting to be entertained.
Cool. Do you have any thoughts on who might win from what you've seen so far? What's your favorite project?
I really liked the music clock. I mean, there's a lot of great projects. I like the ones that are going out and try to motivate people to change behavior in a positive way. So the one for quitting smoking, I don't remember the exact name of it, but the music clock of learning a brand new way to teach music theory, using the 12 notes and the 12 spots on a clock as a way to have people think in a circular way and learn in a more kind of tactile method, was a really creative way to approach it. So I'm excited. I've already bought the app. I'm excited
cool.
to try it.
Awesome. Thanks